Hello, and welcome to Anonymous Tea Ministry. After accepting our dual nature, the task becomes to balance ourselves, to center ourselves as both body and spirit. A sense of balance should permeate every sense of life. For those on the spiritual path, you don't need to isolate yourself off in some cave to attain truth and realize enlightenment. There is a time for every style. There is a time for study and meditation, service and work, and there is a time for play, for music, dance, sport, and laughter. The term middle way was used by the Buddha to describe the path of moderation between the extremes of sensual indulgence and self-mortification. Monks, these two extremes ought not to be practiced by one who has gone forth from the household life. What are the two? There is addiction to indulgence of sense pleasures, which is low, coarse, the way of ordinary people, unworthy and unprofitable. And there is addiction to self-mortification, which is painful, unworthy, and unprofitable. And from Swami Vivekananda's book, Meditation and Its Methods, follow the middle path. A yogi must avoid the two extremes of luxury and austerity. He must not fast, nor torture his flesh. He who does so, says the Gita, cannot be a yogi. He who fasts, he who keeps awake, he who sleeps much, he who works too much, he who does not work, none of these can be a yogi. Gluttony and asceticism are the poles. The middle way is centered between the two. We all have obligations of this world and of the body, but we don't tip our scales for those obligations. The middle way means that we eat, but we don't become consumed by our eating. It's like walking a tightrope. If we tip to either side, we fall just the same. An excerpt from the Hermetica, chapter The Creation of Humankind. At first man was solely eternal and spiritual. But Atum saw that his new creation could not tend the earth unless he sheltered him in a material envelope, giving man a mortal body as well as an immortal soul. Later in the chapter, mortal and eternal blended and mingled, so that man may perform the demands of both sources of his nature. Firstly, to serve God, venerating and praising the things of heaven. Secondly, to assist and administer the things of earth, by tilling the soil, navigating the waters, building on the land, and by serving each other, that strongest of bonds that links the human race together. Another excerpt from the chapter The Birth of Human Culture. Since the world is Adam's handiwork, those who maintain and enhance its beauty are cooperating with the will of Adam by contributing their bodily strength in daily care and labor to make things assume the shape which his purpose has designed. There is both spiritual work and physical work to be done. We must balance the two. They are both important. We shouldn't make the mistake of thinking that creativity is a waste of time, for example. Art and music, attending music festivals and dancing, being active and participating in sport, exploring nature, architecture, and drama, these are not wastes of time. These things are some of what we are called into existence for, to dance with physical matter and physical bodies. Meditation and prayer, communion and study are also what we are called into existence for. There is spiritual work to be done as well as earthly work. Spiritually, we must be able to be self-assured that our path is righteous, but we must also be humble at times in order to keep growing. From the Bible, the New Testament, Matthew 18:4, "Whosoever therefore shall humble himself as this little child, the same is greatest in the kingdom of heaven." It's really impossible to grow if you think you know it all. Growth requires a little humbleness. This is where it may get tricky though. Too much humbleness, and you will go nowhere as well. Let's look at Matthew 21:21. Jesus replied, "Truly I tell you, if you have faith and do not doubt, not only can you do what was done to the fig tree, but also you can say to this mountain, 'Go, throw yourself into the sea,' and it will be done." Faith is a synonym for confidence. So at different points in the book of Matthew, Jesus teaches us that we must be humble, but that we must also have faith or confidence. It's simple and true that we need to use both humility and confidence to grow spiritually. This can get stressful. Sometimes we may think we are too humble, and sometimes too confident. Realize this balance of confidence will come naturally. It will come intuitively, as long as we acknowledge the need for it. The Tao Te Ching, verse 77. "Heaven operates like the bending of a bow. The high it pulls down, the low it brings up. It takes from that which has too much and gives to that which has too little. The way of man is otherwise. He takes from that which is depleted and gives to that which has too much. Who can offer an abundance to the world? One who has Tao. Such a one can give like the heavens. The sage gives without relying on his own effort. He completes without waiting for reward. He illumines without stepping from the shadow." The natural world, our earth, has a way of seeking and finding balance. If we follow what is natural, with the added knowledge that we are eternal spiritual beings, we will come into balance as individuals. This balance happens naturally. But when we as the physical body, the ego self, interfere, that's when things get out of balance, and that's when a natural correction follows. Some examples of how we may get out of balance could be addiction, or obsession, or strong desires. If we are addicted or obsessed with something, our physical self will neglect other aspects or responsibilities to chase the thing it is addicted to. Inequality is a synonym for imbalance. Consider the symbolic nature of income inequality, which is at the highest rate since 1928 in this country, almost a 90-year high. If we want to solve this problem, if you view it as a problem, start individually. We won't solve this problem by pointing outward. We must first point inward. If a business or corporation is part of the problem, stop spending there. Use your money wisely and support businesses that support balance. Give and receive money freely. Do not allow your scared ego to get in the way. If you feel a compulsion to give, either time or money, do it without apprehension. Whatever you give, you will receive back. That is the way of nature, which always seeks and finds equilibrium. From the Kybalion, the Hermetic principle of rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing manifests in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. Balance happens naturally. Imbalance arises out of the ego. Our ego will judge these rising and falling tides. But once we acknowledge that the principle of rhythm is always at work, then it follows that we may observe it without unrestrained emotion. For example, you may lose a $20 bill and then be randomly given a $20 off coupon for a purchase you planned to make. This natural flow is not lost on those living in spirit. Rhythm is always at play. But if we fail to recognize it, our emotions will get caught up in the tides and we will get thrown about to and fro. For example, someone might be so angered and upset over losing that $20 bill, they may miss or not fully appreciate the coupon that saved them the same amount of money. If we are ignorant or deny the principle of rhythm, then we will probably react in ego mind when things go bad, and our emotions may get the best of us. On the other hand, if we recognize the principle of rhythm, when things go bad, we may observe without emotion, knowing that the tide will swing back in our favor. As spiritual beings, balance will naturally permeate our existence. If you feel that it doesn't, if you feel out of balance, analyze how you are spending your time and watch out for your ego mind, which gets overly attached and is overly emotional. It is most likely that you are not out of balance in reality, but only in perception. That's it for balance. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for watching.